Well, folks, here we go again. Judge Jeanine Pirro steps onto the set of The View ready to discuss her book, and let's just say things went off the rails. Whoopi Goldberg lost her cool, again, and it turned into a train wreck for the ages. The judge didn't just hold her ground. She tore through the nonsense like a wrecking ball, exposing the truth in a way that left the hosts completely stunned. You're not going to believe what Whoopi said, and how Judge Jeanine shut her down in the most epic fashion. Let's break it down. Step by step. Judge Jeanine Pirro, a former prosecutor, judge, and TV personality, is no stranger to tough debates. Invited to The View to promote her book Liars, Leakers, and Liberals, Judge Jeanine was prepared for a fiery conversation. But no one could have anticipated just how quickly things would spiral out of control. It started civil, almost like a friendly chat.
Let's bring in Judge Jeanine Pirro. You already saw her, host of Justice with Judge Jeanine, and author of the new book, great new book, Liars, Leakers, and
That's right.
Liberals.
And she was over on The View yesterday to promote it. How did it go? Watch this.
But the tension started bubbling under the surface when Whoopi Goldberg, clearly agitated, began pushing back on Judge Jeanine's views. You could practically see the steam rising. The fireworks really began when Judge Jeanine brought up the reality of political division in America. She said something profound. It's time for people to have real conversations, even when they disagree.
I'm 62 years old. There have been a lot of people in office that I didn't agree with, but I have never, ever seen anything like this. I've never seen anybody whip up such hate. I've never seen anybody be so dismissive. Here's my question for you, because you talk about, I don't have Trump derangement. Let me tell you what I have.
Okay.
I have a lot of, I'm tired of people starting a conversation with Mexicans or liars and
But Whoopi wasn't having it. She interrupted with her signature tone, sarcastic quips, and sharp eye rolls, trying to take control of the segment. What came next, though, shocked everyone. Judge Jeanine, calm and collected, fired back with facts, calling out the absurdity of the radical rhetoric flooding political discourse today. She spoke about border security, law enforcement, and the real issues hurting everyday Americans. And then it happened. Whoopi Goldberg, visibly flustered, couldn't keep it together. She accused Judge Jeanine of spreading hate and division. You could hear the crowd gasp as Whoopi's anger reached a boiling point. That's when Judge Jeanine dropped the hammer. With a quick, measured response, she dismantled Whoopi's argument piece by piece. Her words hit like a knockout punch. The American people are tired of the media twisting the truth and vilifying anyone who doesn't fall in line. I've spent years fighting for justice, and I won't stop now.
But you know
You
what's
said
horrible?
that
when
it
people
was-
who
it's
shouldn't
okay.
be here end up murdering the children of American citizens.
You know what's horrible?
What's
when,
horrible
when the president
is
of the
we
United
fund
States
sanctuary
whips up
cities.
people to beat
No.
the hell out of people.
No.
Say goodbye.
Let me go. I'm done.
What happened?
Okay, so I'm invited to The View to talk about my new book, Liars, Leakers, and Liberals, the case against the anti-Trump conspiracy. And, you know, the publisher said, you want to go to The View? I said, of course I'll go to The View. I like Whoopi. I like them. I have no problem talking about my book. So I go there. And, you know, the first segment was relatively calm. And, you know, I got the transcript. And one of the things I said was, one of the things we need now, we need people to talk to people who ostensibly hate each other. It's time we sat down and had a conversation. And Whoopi, you know, interrupted and said, now? Oh, I'm so glad. But anyway, that was almost prescient. The second segment, after some small talk, I mean, we had, you know, I was making small talk. I was, you know, happy to discuss my book. Right? And then we came back and it was, you know, no holds barred. Whoopi got angry.
What the live audience didn't see, though, was the absolute chaos that erupted behind the scenes. According to Judge Jeanine, Whoopi stormed off the set, unplugging her mic and shouting obscenities. It was unprofessional, out of control, and, let's be real, embarrassing for The View. Jeanine later recounted how Whoopi got in her face backstage, yelling, "Get out!" repeatedly. The judge, unfazed as ever, walked away with her head held high, knowing she had won the day.
What the viewing audience, the television audience, didn't see is that they popped up the cover of my book as she pushed off the desk, unplugged her mic, and then stormed off the set. So I'm there saying, I'm in television. I said, I don't think the segment's over, but I think she just left, Jeanine. I think it's over. So I take off my own mic, and then you have to go down the stairs. I go down the stairs, and she's right there. And I said something like, Whoopi, I spent my whole life fighting for victims, because we had talked about rapes and all that. And she said to me, as she got up in my face, and I read somewhere someone said, well, you should have kept walking. I couldn't walk by her. She was at the bottom of the stairs. She says, F you, F you. And then I said, did you just say F you? And then she said, get the F out of this building, get the F out of this building. So I'm there, and I'm like, okay.
And you didn't do anything to provoke anybody there?
No, you can ask the people that I was with. I mean, she was nuts going off the set, and then when I walked down, and so as I started walking out the building, so this woman is yelling behind me, get the F out of this building. I mean, look, I've been a prosecutor, judge, DA for 30 years. I try murder cases. I can go toe-to-toe with anybody. But that was abuse. And it was sad. It was a sad moment that, she was triggered. And I never understood triggering.
Did she reach out to you afterwards and apologize? I know she apologized to the audience.
She apologized to the audience, not for what she did to me. And they had no idea what happened when I walked off this set.
You haven't heard from it.
This isn't just about one heated debate. It's about a much larger issue. What happened on The View is a reflection of the political climate we live in today. The media claims to want diversity of thought, but as soon as someone challenges their narrative, they lash out. Whoopi's meltdown is proof of that. Judge Jeanine, on the other hand, showed what real debate looks like. She didn't shout. She didn't resort to insults. She brought facts, clarity, and composure, proving once again why she's a force to be reckoned with. By the end of the segment, it was clear. Judge Jeanine had dominated the conversation, exposing the cracks in The View's one-sided arguments. Whoopi's anger and inability to handle a real debate left viewers shaking their heads. For someone who talks about free speech and open dialogue, it's ironic how quickly things fell apart when someone dared to disagree.
They hate the president so much that you were the person, you've been a supporter of him, so they're coming at you.
Well, I certainly think that may be it. And, I tried to answer the question, just like you would answer the questions. And I said, it's another audience. It's the ability to at least talk about some of the good things that the president has done and the problems that I talk about in Liars, Leakers, and Liberals, which is the corruption at the highest levels of the Department of Justice and the FBI. And I have hundreds of footnotes in my book. It's an easy read. I mean, don't get scared by the footnote comment. But, I make it a clear, it's clear what happened. Read the book. They didn't want to know.
I got a question for you. They're watching this over at ABC right now. If you were to look into camera one, what would you say to Whoopi Goldberg right now?
I guess I would say to Whoopi, I've always liked you, Whoopi, and I don't understand where the anger comes from. I went to have a conversation, and I wasn't allowed to have a conversation, and I didn't deserve to be thrown out. We can't treat people like that. You just can't. We can disagree, but we need to be able to talk about it.
Judge, have you ever thrown anyone off your set?
No.
When you ask someone to come on as a guest, I feel like you owe them the common courtesy. I'm sorry that you were treated that way, and I think as a guest in someone's home,
that's
just
what
the wrong way to treat someone.
Yeah,
it's not fair.
Yeah, you're invited into their home, and to be thrown off like that was really, it was disheartening. America is better than this. America is the place where you have free speech. But what happened yesterday was a microcosm of what's happening in the nation.
Yes.
Recent Supreme Court abortion case. Honestly, this isn't even about whether you're pro-choice or pro-life. I just do not like bad arguments. And the arguments that are coming from the left right now are absolutely bonkers. So let's start with absolutely bonkers, Joy Behar.
It's a very interesting schism that goes on here, because on the one hand, sells everywhere. I mean, you can't see an aspirin commercial without somebody having sex. You cannot turn on any program, especially on streaming, where people are having there's soft everywhere now. Right. They encourage all of that. It sells everything. And yet when it comes to the reality of pregnancy, this particular group of people on the right in this country and these religious zealots do not understand the reality of what happens when you have sex.
I don't think she knows that it's not pronounced shit. Pretend that there's an H somewhere in there. For counterpoint number one, I want to say, yes, Joy Behar, you are correct. Sex is everywhere. Our culture is sick. That isn't an argument, that's a diagnosis. We have an increasingly sick culture here in America. Religious zealots and or people on the right very much understand that reality. We understand that when a culture promulgates promiscuity, it leads to people engaging in unfulfilling, unprotected sex. Far from your assessment that we don't understand what happens when you have sex, we understand exactly what happens. Children are the consequence. Life is the consequence. It would seem to me that it's the atheist zealots, the ones who have normalized in aspirin commercials, that don't quite understand what happens when you have unprotected sex. And then when they find out, they go, whoops, well, good thing I learned in health class that I can just get an abortion to deal with it. Did you know, Joy, that before federally funded ed programs in school, which sprang up in the 1970s, and before Roe v. Wade in 1973, teenage pregnancy rates in this country were declining over a period of 12 years. Maybe what we on the right understand is that there is such a thing as sexually transmitted insanity, the normalization of non-committal sex, which is pervasive in our culture and in our schools, and it serves no one, least of all the young women who wind up pregnant and are pressured to make a life-altering emotional decision that is packaged to them as the responsible thing to do. I believe that you and the ladies that sit beside you contribute daily to that toxic culture of lies. Now let's hear from your co-host.
Do any of you men have any eggs or the possibility of carrying a fetus? How dare you talk about what a fetus wants? You have no idea. Now, I'm fine if you disagree with abortion. I have no problem with that. My problem comes when you tell me what I need to do with my doctor and my family. How dare you? How dare you?
All right, counterpoint to you, Whoopi Goldberg. Number two, did you guys know back at home, by the way, that in 2017, Whoopi Goldberg received a GLAAD Media Award for executively producing a show called Strut? It was a transgendered modeling show. She won the award for speaking up for trans rights and against those trying to roll them back. Oopsies! This is why I love intersectionality. Here we are in the middle of a vicious culture war where a bunch of men playing dress up and trying to convince people that they are women and can give birth and they can chest feed. And here comes along Whoopi Goldberg, and she's so fired up about abortion that she accidentally tells the truth. Only women can give birth. Only women have a womb that is capable of carrying a child. They say, never get in the way of our enemies when they are making a mistake. They also say, even a broken clock is right twice a day. I say, thanks, Whoopi, for proving that even idiots are capable of understanding basic biology.
The real question is, why is The View so afraid of people like Judge Jeanine? Is it because she represents the millions of Americans who are tired of being silenced? I'll let you decide.
Last counterpoint, which I believe is so important in terms of this abortion debate. We currently have a culture where men are routinely accused of not stepping up to the plate. In fact, just this week, it was announced that only 18% of households in America today feature a nuclear family unit, a married mother and a father raising children. Make no mistake, father absence is one of the biggest, if not the biggest epidemic that we face in this country today. But why are we expecting men to step up to the plate when we have women that are telling them that they don't have to? Why should men step up when the message that is ringing out loud and clear from mainstream culture and media is that beyond men have no responsibility or say in the lives of their children? I mean, how on earth can someone logically explain how a baby is 100% the property of a woman as it grows inside of her? From the moment that the baby is born, it requires a 50-50 split. Can a man stand before a judge at a child support hearing and say, Your Honor, it was her body, and it was therefore her choice to have this child? The answer, of course, is no. Obviously not. That would be stupid. If a man is colloquially referred to as a deadbeat dad for taking no part or responsibility in a child's life as he or she grows up, And the same must also be true for a woman who wants no part or responsibility in a child's life as it grows inside of her. My body, my choice is a pervasive, deadbeat mom argument that accomplishes nothing but excusing too many men from stepping up to their most important role as fathers.
What do you think? Did Whoopi Goldberg completely lose it here? And do you think Judge Jeanine was right to stand her ground? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below.